All right, everybody. Looks like we are live. Hello, hello, hello. Okay, I'll just tag us here. Make sure everyone can find us. Everyone, welcome. Welcome everybody. Welcome back to the Transform with Plants Live podcast inside Plant-Based Health and Weight Loss Support Facebook group. Today, we're talking about how your past experiences affect your weight. So if you've ever looked in the mirror and thought, why do I keep doing this to myself? Why am I still struggling with my weight? Why am I eating what I shouldn't? Why am I giving up before I see results? Why do I know what to do and I'm still not doing it? Why can I just not be consistent with what I know to do? Well, then you're in the right place. So you're not weak. You likely just have some internal wiring that is actually driving your actions. And most of that wiring likely started long before you even stepped on a scale. Hi, Justin. Hi, Trish. Thanks for joining me today. In fact, for many of my clients, the root of their struggles with food, with weight, with self-sabotage often stems all the way back to childhood, to moments when their little body learned what love and safety and comfort felt like. And if those moments were missing or unpredictable or painful to them back then, well, then that leaves an imprint on their nervous system. And then their adult body today is trying to deal with that imprint, trying to deal with that scar on their nervous system with food, excuse me, with avoidance, with overthinking, with limiting beliefs, with people pleasing. So for a moment, I want you to just stop and think for yourself, is there a time in your own childhood when you might have felt unseen or unsafe or unloved or criticized by somebody, even if in just tiny ways? And as you remember those experiences from your childhood, do you notice if those same feelings might still be showing up for you today? Excuse me, frog in my throat. Do those same feelings still appear for you today when you might be feeling stressed or criticized or alone? And do those same feelings come up for you when you are imperfect, when things aren't going your way, when there is, I guess, drama and chaos happening in your world? Drop an emoji if something might be clicking for you already. And let me take a drink. Apology, team. Not sure what that is. All right, I think it's gone. No, still there. Sorry. I do apologize. So if you're new here, hello, I'm Karen. I'm the Plant Power Coach and I'm the founder of Transform with Plants. And this is my Facebook group. I help people heal the relationship that they have with themselves, with their body, with their weight, so that they can lose weight on a plant-based diet. And in these lives, I go far deeper than just what to do, what to eat. My free weight loss guide outlines the what to do. It outlines the food, the plate to follow, calorie density, the holistic health habits that are going to help you get into that calorie deficit, right? And these are the simple habits that myself and my clients follow to achieve lasting weight loss. If you do not have a copy of my weight loss guide, please put a comment down below and I will make sure that I get that to you. That is the simple framework of what to do. You've got to make sure that you've got that. That's a starting position. But in these lives, in these sessions here with you today, I'm here to help you get to the real stuff, the real reason why you may know what to do and you simply cannot get consistent. You can't get started. You can't seem to stay on track, or you might lose weight and then you're gaining it all back again. Because when you start to understand why you do what you do, your entire body starts to shift. So does your life. And when I say understand why you do what you do, I'm talking about from a place of awareness, from curiosity, not from judgment. Not from judgment and criticism. Let's leave that shit at the door. We don't need that. And this is also exactly what we're going to dive deeper into in my upcoming Rewire to Release 5-day challenge. This is a plant-based weight loss challenge for those people who know what to do and simply don't know why they can't do it. They've got something blocking them. So we're going to rewire what that is. We're going to uncover that and rewire. We're going to start to uncover the patterns that are driving your current behavior. And I'm going to give you some simple frameworks to help you start reprogramming what's going on underneath the surface of your awareness, so that doing what you know to do starts to become your norm, your everyday norm. So if you're curious, stick around, and I'm going to give you some more information on that, or just put an emoji or a comment down below in the underneath this video, and I will reach out to you and give you some information, or send me a DM. Okay, so let's get into it today. Your body is a reflection of your story. Your biology equals your biography equals your biology. What has happened to you in your life affects your body. Okay. Every single thing in our body, every single story that we have been through in our life shows up some way in our nervous system, in our beliefs, how we see the world. And certainly it impacts our behavior and the weight that we put on our body. Early experiences in your life, especially, teach your nervous system what safety feels like. Whether that is chaos, whether that's silence, whether that's approval, whether that's control, whether that's rejection. The experiences that you had with your parents or your caregivers or in that environment growing up teach your nervous system what normal feels like. And as children, we start to adapt to this environment. We take on beliefs about ourselves. We learn how to survive in this environment. The people who are meant to give us safety and comfort and protect us, if they feel unsafe to us in some way, it teaches our nervous system as well that love equals danger. That teaches our nervous system to be constantly in fight or flight. And that, as adults, starts to become our normal, our familiar. Even if it's not healthy, even if it's not comfortable, it's known. It's a known discomfort. And what I have found with a lot of my people who struggle with their weight, with emotional eating, with overeating, with binging, with knowing what to do and just not doing it, is that there has been some childhood experience, oftentimes with a parent, that has left them with nervous system wounds and scars that they are still carrying. They have not processed. Although many have also done therapy, but they found that therapy has never connected the experience in the childhood with the eating behaviors and the weight. They've also found that the therapy helps them understand in here, but it hasn't let go in the body yet. So it's still all sitting in the nervous system. So things will happen in their life today that trigger those old wounds. They come back up again. Those old stories start to come back up again, and boom, food becomes the relief. So this is what we work on inside of my coaching program. So let me ask you a question. When you feel rejected or stressed or unseen, what is your go-to coping pattern? Do you shut down? Do you people please? Do you grab food? Do you pour a glass of wine? Do you get lost in the scroll? And let's just ask, what if that wasn't about a lack of discipline? What if that was more about your inner child still trying to stay safe, your inner child trying to cope? Let's change that story. So let me tell you a little bit about my own story and how that impacted my weight. So you can hear a real life example, and I won't tell you my clients' real life examples because that would be they probably wouldn't want me to do that unless they gave me permission, but I'm going to tell you my story. So I grew up in a very loving home. My parents adored me and I adored them. We had a great relationship, apart from Dad and I when I was a teenager. And, that's normal. Little dads don't like seeing their little girls grow up into young women. And young women certainly do not want to be controlled by their dad. So we clashed heads for a moment, but we're all good now. But I grew up in a very loving home. However, like many babies in the 70s, parenting advice was to let baby cry themselves to sleep. When they cry out for attention, when they've been put down to sleep, you don't come and soothe them. You let them cry themselves to sleep. Now, while this was considering, good parenting at the time, and it was giving mother a break so that her nervous system could rest. Yes, it sounds all logical and wonderful, but what it does to a tiny baby is it sends a nervous system into fight or flight in that moment. My nervous system was learning something very, very different. And what my nervous system learned was that love equals being rejected and abandoned. Love is inconsistent. If I get love, the person who loves me and makes me feel the safest is going to reject and abandon me. It also meant that my needs don't matter and that nobody is coming. Nobody is coming to save me. I'm on my own. I'm alone. Love means being left alone. When I shut down, I binge watch TV episodes. That's a way of coping, Trish. It's a way of escaping from the pain. Yes. So back to my story. Yes. So that became my earliest wiring. It became expecting to be rejected and abandoned by people that I was close to. It meant that I didn't get close to too many people in my life. I spent most of my time alone because, well, baby got used to being alone. Baby got very scared about people. I was very, very shy because I kept expecting rejection and abandonment from everybody. Now, fast forward to my 20s, after teenage years of being rejected and abandoned by boys who didn't want to date me. Even the boys who did date me then rejected and abandoned me. That was my story. Fast forward to, I was age 16. I met the man that I later married. I was still a kid. And then I married him at age 21. And I was way too young. Let's just say I was way too young. And now I've got so much wisdom from this experience. And I've processed a lot of this. And I can see so many ahas in my own story. But my ex grew up in a home where love looked completely different to my experience. It looked like conflict. It looked like chaos. It looked like emotional volatility. So to him, that's what love looked like. And as we settled into marriage, well, that's the sort of environment that he started to create. His anxiety and anger started to show up more and more, although it had been showing up in the 5 years prior. It's just that I was too young I saw it, but I was shutting down the red flags because I wanted to be loved. I wanted to be loved. He was somebody who wasn't rejecting and abandoned me, so I was accepting him. But as we settled into marriage, this is what started to come up: arguments, agitation, tension. I felt like I was walking on eggshells the whole time. I didn't know what side of him I was going to get on a day-to-day basis. And for my nervous system, that felt unsafe. It didn't feel like love to me. That's not what I had grown up with. And so I did what I developed a new coping mechanism in this state, and that was to withdraw, kind of shut down emotionally. And in those moments, I sought comfort where, the only other way that I knew how, which was in food, it was in wine, it was in things that brought a moment of peace. Having a glass of wine certainly helped me feel more relaxed. And certainly if I was having wine out with colleagues or my friends away from the situation, then that was a moment for me to really relax and feel happy again. But, this was not just teaching my nervous system, you're safe now in this environment. Well, it was leading to more calories and more weight being put onto my body. And the more weight that I put on and the more I pulled away from him, the more he felt rejected by me. And his pain then started seeking validation elsewhere as well. And this is where I noticed him started checking out other people. And roving eye, I learned that he'd had an affair. And every moment through that particular experience was then reactivating that old original wound that I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy of love, I'm going to be rejected and abandoned. And that original wound started to be activated again. So not only was I dealing with feeling emotionally unsafe in this environment that was chaotic and argumentative, and I was not sure, what version of him I was going to get. Was it going to be able to be, relaxed around him, or did I have to be, tense and on edge? But I had this old wound of abandonment and a rejection being activated as well. And as that pain deepened, well, so did the weight. And it wasn't just emotional eating anymore. It started to become protection. So energetically, the extra weight was making me feel safe in this unsafe environment. And energetically, I've kind of lost my train of thought there for a moment. Some other thought came in and it's just completely thrown me off track. So I wasn't just, I was keeping myself safe from this environment that was leaving me feeling on edge. That was where the emotional eating came in. But I was also having that old wound being activated, like being scared of being rejected and abandoned by this person who was making me feel unsafe, which seems ridiculous. But having that abandonment wound there, that was what led me to wanting to start to lose the weight. So I found myself with this conflicting goal. I wanted to feel safe. I felt unsafe around him, and I wanted to feel safe around him, but I also didn't want to be abandoned by him. Two very conflicting goals. If I didn't have the abandonment wound, I might feel the unsafety around him and I might have left. And that might have left the marriage long ago, but I had the abandonment wound, which is what kept me in the environment. And so that is when I started, the weight was piling on because it was a coping mechanism and it was a safety and it was a protection. If I was staying in this environment, then it was keeping him at arm's length, because I knew that if I had the weight on my body, he was at distance. He wasn't interested in me so much. But also part of me thought, if I lose the weight, then maybe he'll love me again. Maybe I'll be good enough for him again. Maybe I'll feel loved by him and I won't feel on edge anymore. I'll win him back. And then the other part of me thought, but if I keep the weight on, he'll keep his distance. I don't really want him touching me anyway, because I don't really like who he is as a person. I don't like the way he behaves. I don't like the way he treats me. I don't like the way he treats other people. So there was a super nervous system conflict there. And by the way, guys, this is not something I realized while I was in it. This is something I realized like only a few years ago as I was coaching another client. Right? The way I see the situation now is so different, but it's so super helpful to understand my own patterns. And in this is when the dieting started to happen. So this is why, I thought that if I could lose the weight, I could win his love back. I could also start to like myself again. I really didn't like the way I was looking. I had put on probably 30 pounds, 15 or so kilos in I didn't know what sort of time frame, but it was pretty quick. You know, in my teens, I was probably around 55, 56 kilos. I got up to 70 something in my 20s, by about my mid 20s, I think. And I started things like Weight Watchers, the Zone diet. I did fat blaster pills. I tried the Body for Life program. Now, does anyone remember Bill Phillips and his 12-week Body for Life program? He had a couple of books out. Now, at the time I worked in the book industry, I was a book category buyer, and I looked after those books. I'm pretty sure that was my category. Anyway, I saw those books and I was obsessed with them. Like, he had photos of people's transformations in 12 weeks. By the way, I actually don't know that those 12-week transformations were real. They were pretty damn impressive. But I would go through the books, and I would just, like, I knew the content inside out. I knew how to train. Like, I knew all the information. I knew the diet. I knew I was vegan at the time, so I was veganizing the diet. I knew exactly what to do. And I would get, you know, all motivated to start this again. I'd take my before photo with the newspaper to show the date, and I'd get my meals all ready, and I'd figure out my training plan. And I'd be like, right, Monday, I'm starting this again. And I would start with so much motivation. And then 3 weeks, 4 weeks later, I was burnt out. I was exhausted. I was freaking angry at myself again because I'd messed up and I was not seeing the results that I wanted fast enough. I was in a freaking hurry. And I felt like I was right back where I started. And I was angry at myself because I recognize now that I was trying to fix the symptom of a much deeper wound. A diet can't rewire a feeling that says I'm unsafe. A diet can't rewire beliefs that say I'm not worthy of love. It can't rewire beliefs that say I'm going to be rejected and abandoned by somebody else. A diet can't resolve that underlying nervous system crap that's going on. And in all honesty, if I had lost the weight, if I'd looked better, yeah, sure, I would have had his attention. But in reality, I didn't want it. I recognize now that I didn't want it. I remember saying to myself, I just don't want him to touch me. It took years for me to understand this, and becoming a coach, to understand all this stuff, to finally understand, to look back at my story and realize why I was struggling so much, and realize that it was never really about the food. It was about safety, and it was about love. It was about not feeling safe and not feeling loved. It was about the parts of me that were still waiting for someone else to make me feel worthy and secure. And in that situation, I wasn't getting that. And on one hand, while I desperately wanted and needed his love, because I didn't yet know how to love myself, and that was a baby wound that said, I'm not worthy of love. And on the other hand, my body was protecting me from that same love because deep down I felt unsafe around him. So the weight wasn't failure, it was protection. And it was my nervous system doing its job. When I finally left that marriage, this is when everything started to change for me. The process started when I was 31, when we first broke up. And I started to put on my own Wonder Woman pants. This is when I seriously remember feeling my strength. I went into shock at first, and I couldn't eat for about a week. Honestly, I could not eat. The thought of putting food in my mouth made me want to feel like vomiting. There's nothing in there to come out. And the irony is that I actually had a team member, a girl who was on working for me in my team at work. She was my assistant buyer, and I was a head buyer. She was my assistant buyer or trainee buyer, something like that. And she actually had an eating disorder, and she was actually let's just say she was under disciplinary measures because of things that she'd done. And I don't know the full story because it was being handled by HR. So ironically, I knew that it had something to do with eating disorders and possibly drugs as well. And so ironically, here I was dealing with not being able to eat, and there's all this emotional stuff. And I just remember thinking, I do not want to end up like her. Pull your shit together, Sawyer. put your big girl panties on. You're going to figure this out. Sure, you might be going to do life on your own now, but we're going to figure this out. I've got you. And I just remember feeling this sense of power at that moment in myself. It's funny talking about the pain that I went through with the ex doesn't trigger me anymore, but thinking about, and this is not a painful tear. I don't even know where that came from. Well, I do know where that came from. It's like gratitude. What I feel now is gratitude for that version of me who picked me up, that version of me who reached in and said, get your ass off the floor, girl. This is not who you are. You are not a baby anymore. You're a grown woman, and you can figure shit out on your own. And you are going to do that. And I just remember feeling this intense amount of strength inside of me come to the fore. And I thought, shit, who's this? Hello? I've always been a Wonder Woman fan. When I was a child, I used to, like, I'm talking 5 years old, I used to make my own Wonder Woman costumes. And right at that moment, I felt my inner Wonder Woman coming out. There was a moment where we went to the bank to, like, we wanted to see how much there was left on the mortgage. My dad was going to buy him out. And as we walked into the bank manager's office, he sat down and got this big grin on his face. Right, we're going to make some money out of these two, obviously. And he sat down and he says, right, so what are we doing? Are we remortgaging the house? Are we renovating? Are we looking to sell and buy a new one? What's going on? And I remember my ex just sat there with nothing coming out of his mouth. And he used to be the one who led everything. And I used to let him. And because he wasn't speaking up, I took charge. And I just sat forward and said, no, we're getting divorced. We want to know how much is left on the mortgage because my dad's going to buy him out. And I just remember I still see this now to the day. It was like my ex, I could see his jaw hit the floor. And he looked at me like, who the hell are you? And again, I felt this strength, this new version of me step up. And that is when things started to change for me. I started to become a different version from the inside out. I started to take control. I started to become stronger. Now, it still took 2 years of this trying to figure things out with him. We moved countries, we invested in a business. Things were just on, off, on, off, on, off, and they were chaotic for a while. But it was that period of time where I started to become more independent. I started to become stronger. I got my shit together. I also got my weight down to my ideal. I lost so much weight because I, from the inside out, became a much stronger version of myself. I needed to. And I was the one who eventually ended the marriage. I stopped abandoning myself. I realized that I needed to stop waiting around for somebody else to love me, to show me that I was worthy. And I needed to show that myself. I decided to start loving myself first. I decided to stop abandoning myself for somebody else first. And that was the first time that I realized I can be alone and I can be okay. No, not okay. I could thrive. I actually could. I was going to be much better alone than in this relationship. It had to end. So I started rebuilding safety from the inside out. I started learning to love myself rather than trying to earn love. I started to create peace instead of needing somebody else to give it to me. I learned to create safety for myself instead of needing somebody else to keep me safe. My inner world started to change. I became bolder, freer, more fearless. I started to let go of those old baby abandonment wounds. They started to transform. And even though I did put on a little bit of weight after those 18 months that we had in our fitness business, because I was on my feet for 8 hours a day, it's going to happen when you go and sit on your butt for 9 hours a day. I never got back to that ballooning weight when I was in the height of my struggle. I've never been back there since. Because for because I was letting go of that emotional struggle, that struggle with safety. And yes, over the years, sometimes those old baby wounds, those old abandonment wounds, they still show up from time to time with certain, in certain situations, with certain relationships, because relationship is always going to test your wounds. All right. But now, because I'm aware of them, I meet them with awareness instead of avoidance, instead of suppression, instead of reaction. I don't drown my feelings in food anymore. I don't drown my feelings in wine anymore. I don't chase love that isn't safe. I don't accept, I don't move into environments. I recognize red flags immediately. I'm like, no. I don't tell myself stories about being unworthy or being unlovable anymore. I don't tell myself stories about being abandoned anymore, because I know that no one can abandon me, because I do not abandon myself. But if I do feel those triggers in any moment, if it is, I know it's just the baby wound and I know it's not happening right now, and I just be with that feeling in my nervous system without suppressing it. I breathe it, I feel it, I release it. So I ask you, can you see if any of your past experiences from childhood might be playing out somehow with your relationship with yourself today, your relationship with your body, your relationship with your food, the actions that you do or do not take today, or even your feelings of safety or unsafety in this world? Drop a comment if something's coming up. Karen's saying, I can so relate. Yeah, look, honestly, this is a lot of the coaching that I do with my clients, is about understanding the patterns beneath the patterns, understanding the triggers that are going on. Why is this coming up? So Trish says, when I was 12, I got heaps of praise from my mother for losing 10 pounds in 10 days. Wow. On the spinach and egg and grapefruit diet. Yeah, I didn't see myself as overweight at all, but my sister was naturally skinny and I looked heavier by comparison. Yeah. You know what? It sets you up for, it sets up so many patterns moving forwards. It just imprints on our nervous system, imprints in our subconscious mind. We don't understand how those stories from the past are, affecting our behavior today. Okay. So let me go further. So that was my story, part of my story anyway. That was the early part of my story. I've got many parts of my story, but that was the early part when I was really struggling. So when I talk about past experiences, right, I'm not just talking about memories. I'm talking about those experiences that shaped the way that your body and brain perceive safety. So every single time you might have felt unseen or unsafe or not good enough, your nervous system is making a note of that. We store our issues in our tissues. You might have heard that phrase before. There's a couple of other phrases, but yeah, pretty much all our past pains imprint on our nervous system if we don't know how to process that pain at the time. And when we're children, we're not taught this. So what do? We find ways to cope. Most of us weren't taught how to process our emotions in healthy ways as children. So we just did what we had. We just turned to our own devices to keep ourselves safe. And obviously for me in that childhood environment, it was shutting down, retreating, shutting up. So where do I feel my triggers today? I feel it in the heart and I feel it in the throat. Don't speak up. Don't speak up. There's no point crying out for help or support or getting your needs met, because nobody's going to come. Nobody cares. Your needs don't matter. Shut up. Yeah, that's where I feel my triggers. And your body is learning in those moments what danger feels like. And it's teaching you what you should stay away from in future. When you feel something that's similar to that, like that, your nervous system goes off, oh, danger, 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 stay away from that. And it also learns how to protect you from that feeling ever again. This is when we go into fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. So fighting, you might develop. So what I was saying is, as children, we learn how to cope. So we either fight, flee, freeze, or fawn. So excuse me, fighting might sound like getting loud or defensive or taking control, trying to control things, because that's how we made other, trying to control things or arguing or like getting defensive. That's how we control other people, and that's how we can feel safe again. Fleeing might look like avoiding, running away from our problems. It might be distracting ourselves from what we feel is too hard to face. A lot of people who have avoidant attachment behavior sit here, they are fleeing, whether it's freezing, whether that's things like shutting down, numbing, zoning out, soothing with food or wine because nothing else really feels safe and everything else feels too much. Whether that's fawning, you might turn to fawning, that looks like people pleasing, appeasing others, like doing what everybody else wants you to do rather than what you need to do. That can look like overgiving or staying in environments, staying small in environments, not speaking up in order to keep the peace. And that wiring sits deep within your subconscious, not as thoughts, but as physiology. And it impacts your behavior throughout life. So fast forward to adulthood, when something happens today that triggers those old memories, those old feelings of unsafety, whether it's a tone of voice or a look or a failure, a feeling of rejection, right? Your nervous system is not reacting as though it's 2025. It reacts as if you were back in that original event. So, and it's triggering those same old protective patterns. And what is it again? You fight, you push harder, you get frustrated, you try and control everything. You argue, you fight with people. You might look to try and control your food tightly, needing to do everything perfectly. That's a little bit of fight as well. Or you might go into flight. This is avoiding. This is over distracting yourself with busyness, right? I'm busy. I'm just too busy. It's scrolling, overworking, distracting, instead of sitting with the discomfort that's there. It can look like freezing. So again, that's shutting down, zoning out, reaching for food, numbing, or fawning, people pleasing, putting everybody else's needs above your own, abandoning your own needs and your own goals so that you don't risk conflict or rejection, staying small so that people won't criticize you. So your body's not broken. It's actually freaking brilliant. It's brilliant at keeping you safe and keeping you alive. And the problem with that is your body can't tell the difference between emotional danger and physical danger. It can't tell the difference between what feels emotionally unsafe in the moment because someone's yelling at you and someone coming at you with a knife, right? It's all to your nervous system. It's all the same thing. So when your body feels that nervous system stress response activated, it feels under threat, it's switching you into survival mode, fight, flight, freeze, fawn. And in survival mode, your physiology changes. Your cortisol increases, which drives fat storage to the belly region, makes you more emotionally volatile, more reactive. Your brain starts reaching for fast comfort, increases cravings for sugar, fat, processed foods. Hello, quick dopamine. Hello, quick relief, right? Hello, more calories than we actually need. Hello, eating when we're not hungry. Your digestion slows. So even if you are eating healthy, you're not absorbing the nutrition properly. Your energy and motivation drop. So now not only are you eating more calories, your energy output's going down. Suddenly you're in a calorie surplus, right? Cortisol high in your body, driving that fat to your belly, not healthy for your organs. And your metabolism also downshifts. Your body doesn't burn fat when it thinks it's in survival mode, when it thinks it's under threat. And in this moment, these are the moments when you can know what to do and still not do it. Why? Because you're in survival mode. You're in looking for safety mode. When your nervous system feels unsafe, it doesn't want discipline, it wants safety, it wants relief. So when you find yourself reaching for food or skipping a workout or falling off track again, right? It's not rebellion. It's not that you can't do this. It's that you are in fight or flight and your nervous system is trying to self-protect. And until you learn how to create a new sense of safety from within, that pattern is going to keep repeating. No matter how strong your willpower is or how perfect your meal plan is. This is what we're going to be talking about more inside of Rewire to Release, the challenge that I talked about. We are going to identify what are the emotional needs behind our behavior. We're going to be listening more, we're going to be tuning more in to self-awareness, tuning in to our needs, listening to our emotional states, listening to what's going on inside of our body, understanding where we don't feel safe, where we're looking for relief. And you're going to be learning some new frameworks to help with changing this wiring so that you can do what you know to do and get the result that you want. Because when you don't address this root, you are going to stay on that diet hamster wheel. If you just keep looking for the next meal plan, the next diet, keep trying to start again Monday, you're just going to stay on this loop of trying, failing. You lose weight, you regain it, you lose it, you gain it, you start, you stop, you start, you stop. And each time you stop, each time you go through this loop, you are reinforcing that I'm a failure. I can't stay consistent. You are eroding trust with yourself that you can do this. And you might start believing the story that, oh, I can't do this. Maybe this is just who I am. Maybe I've just got to put up with this weight. But when you get to the root, when you heal that root, your body is able to let go. Physically and emotionally. You stop needing food for safety. You stop overeating. You stop making choices that don't align with your goals, and you realize that making the choices that do align with your goals starts to become effortless. It's easier to align your choices with who you are becoming, who you want to be in the future, not who you were. So imagine this for a moment. You eat whole plants because they make you feel amazing. You can feel the difference in your digestion, in your mental health, in your physical health, and you do it because it feels amazing, not because you're on a diet and trying to lose weight. You can say no to a piece of cake or a glass of wine, even if everybody else is having it in front of you, not because you can't and you're restricting yourself and you're on a diet. You don't want it. It's effortless to say no. You don't need that to numb out. You don't need it to feel the same as everybody. You don't need it to fit in. You don't need it to win everybody else's approval. You don't give a shit what other people think about what you're doing. You don't give a shit about what other people think about how you look, because you are happy with who you are on the inside. You don't care to fit in. You don't need to win other people's love. You don't need to try and seek safety in this environment, because you've learned how to do it from within. You know that if people are not right for you, you know that if people make you feel unsafe, then they don't align with you and they can just leave your life. You know that the people who are a good fit for you will find. You feel so much different. You're not trying to use external things to try and create this sense of safety, because you know how to create it from within. And making the aligned choices is easy. So, a question for you. What would change in your life, in your food, in your choices, if your emotions no longer had control of you? What would it feel like to finally trust yourself again? What would it feel like to be able to make decisions that align with that future self and who you want to be, and fully let go of that past that is controlling your behavior today? Okay. Anyone else has got any comments? feel free to drop them in. We're going to wrap this up soon because, team, I am going to go and get my, I'm going to sit my Australian, what's it called? Citizenship exam in a moment. I'm so excited. But here is a simple framework that you can use to release some old stories and wounds. I call it the 5 R's. Trish and Margaret, you can write this down. It's brand new. 1, recognize. Start to notice your patterns without judgment. Just curiosity, awareness. I dropped this great little picture to my clients the other day, and maybe I'll drop it into the comments. Actually, maybe I can do that right here, right now. No, I can't. I can't do it while I'm on the live. There's this great photo. It's so amazing. I dropped it to my clients the other day, and it's this little creature that lives inside all of us and controls all of our behavior. And it looks like a little alien. It looks quite scary, actually. But what it is, it's a brain with eyes, these big googly eyes, and then it's the whole nervous system that comes off that. And this creature is living inside of us. And I want you to think that this creature is controlling 95% of everything you do. You are the one witnessing it all. You are the consciousness that is witnessing it. But you're only conscious 5% of the time. The rest of the time, you're on autopilot. It's being driven by this little creature inside. So, number 1 step is to recognize. You have to recognize your patterns if you want to be able to rewire them. Start noticing the patterns of the little alien that's driving your behavior. Don't judge it, just notice it. Get curious. And just ask yourself, what's actually going on here? What emotion is happening right now? What is driving my behavior? When you feel that drive to eat or drink, it's like, what is really going on? 2, regulate. Regulate your nervous system before you react, before taking any action. If you are reacting to how you feel, you are making decisions based on safety, based on goals, not based on alignment. So breathe, just breathe, or shake your body out, move, ground, get yourself in nature. But breathing is a great way just to regulate. A couple of minutes of breathing, putting your hand on your heart or on your belly, just saying, I'm safe in this moment. Feel that sensation instead of running away from it. It takes a couple of minutes. Fully process it through your body until you come back and you just feel calm again. 3, reparent yourself. Time to take off the shitty diaper and put on your big girl or big boy panties. I say, go put on your Wonder Woman pants to many of my clients, right? Let's take off the shitty diaper, clean yourself up, put on your Wonder Woman pants. Let's go, all right? Whatever you're trying to create in that moment, you must give to yourself first. Give yourself what is missing. With gentleness, with reassurance, with patience. Be patient to yourself. In this moment, what you must give to yourself, imagine that it's your inner 5-year-old who's panicking. You must be the adult to yourself now that you needed in the past. And when I feel that emotional trigger of rejection or abandonment coming up, what I do is just sit with myself and say, Mummy was never rejecting you. What is happening now is just triggering that old baby wound. You are a big girl now, and Mummy never actually abandoned you. She always came back. She just was putting you down to sleep on advice from experts at the time, saying, don't, let baby cry herself to sleep. She always came back for you. She didn't abandon you, even if it felt like abandonment at the time. This situation has nothing to do with abandonment. It's just the old wound. You are safe right now. And girl, I got you. You need to be your adult self. You need to be your adult self parenting your child self in the moment. Okay, number 4 is rewrite the story. Catch the old story. What is the old story coming up? I'm not good enough. No one loves me. I'm a failure. I can't be perfect. I'm being rejected, being abandoned. My needs don't matter. What is the shitty story that experience created in here for you? Rewrite it. For me, I'm not being rejected. I was never rejected. I was never abandoned. I was loved. I was so loved. And even in this moment, if it feels like rejection, if it feels like abandonment, don't reject and abandon yourself. No one can reject and abandon you if you're not doing it to yourself. Change that story. Number 5, repetition equals rewiring. To change this pattern, you must keep putting in reps of the new pattern, right? You must keep changing your behavior, changing your reaction to the emotion. You need to keep catching yourself when those patterns arise. And every time you interrupt that pattern, you start to create new pathways in your brain that help you feel safe in different ways. And you need to do it often enough that old pattern, that old neural highway of emotional suppression, eating, drinking, avoiding, whatever it might be, that pattern erodes, and that your new pattern of reparenting yourself, changing the story, staying with yourself, regulating your nervous system, that becomes your new norm. This is a powerful thing for my clients. This is how we do it in my world. Okay, so before we finish up, what is one old belief that you might have about yourself or your body or your safety in this world that you are ready to release? One that is not serving you, one that makes you feel awful. Right? You know that it's a limiting belief because it holds you back. You know that it's a limiting belief because it doesn't feel good to you. I'm not good enough. I'm not lovable. I'm a failure. People don't love me. I'm not worthy. They're all very common. I just want to welcome you to being a human being. If you've ever been to a Tony Robbins event where there are thousands of people in the room, right? He says, who here has believed at some point in their life that they're not worthy? And you look at everybody's hand go in the room, then you realize, oh, he's making a point, right? It's like a rite of passage to not feel good enough, when the actual reality is we're not just good enough. Like, we're amazing. We're amazing, complex, wonderful human beings. We are all different. We're not supposed to be the same as anybody else. We all bring unique gifts into this world. And when we can learn to appreciate ourselves and see just how good we really, really are, and let that bullshit story go, oh my God, our world changes. And I can tell you, when I started letting go of my bullshit story about not being good enough, about not being worthy of love, about needing other people's approval to feel good about myself, oh my God, that changed my world. Like I say, it transformed my weight. I became so much stronger from the inside. I became an I can person, not an I can't. I sought ways to, I would say to myself, how can I do this? Not, oh, I'm scared and I can't. I just started trusting myself to be able to figure shit out. And I'm so much stronger from the inside out as a result. This is life-changing, guys. This is the process that we will be starting inside Rewire to Release. So in 5 days, we're going to uncover your maybe hidden wiring. We're going to be discovering what your body is trying to tell you. We're going to be uncovering limiting beliefs, fears, doubts, all the things that might be holding you back from achieving your goals, that are holding you back from staying consistent, from doing what you know to do, from getting started, whatever it is, whatever's blocking you from doing the things and getting the result. We're going to uncover in these 5 days, and I'm going to give you some simple frameworks that can help you start that process of rewiring to release your weight. Okay. If you want details about that, drop me a comment below. Great news about citizenship. Thanks. Just following up on the comments here, guys. I think that diet examples at age 12 was that I didn't get praise for something I was proud of, but a goal that was somebody else's. So what happens that teaches us is that I need, but also within your environment, Trish, because we've worked together. It's doing what makes somebody else happy, right? In that environment, when you have a parent figure who leaves you feeling unsafe, if you do something that makes them happy, then you adapt your behavior to do things that make people happy, and it starts to make you more of a people pleaser. Oh, I need to adapt my behavior so that somebody else will be happy, so that I can feel safe in their presence. Makes sense. Yes. That other people's goals are more important than mine. Yeah. Yep. It's more important to make other people happy and help them achieve their goals. Their goals are more important than mine. All these stories can come out of our past conditioning, of our past ways of feeling safe. There's so many stories that I can tell you. In fact, in Rewire to Release, I'm going to be telling you about a few more stories from some of my clients. I'll keep them nameless, but patterns of behavior, how childhood experiences shaped their beliefs, and then how they were showing up as adults, and how that was impacting their weight and their ability or their inability to be able to lose the weight. So yeah, come along if you want to hear more about that, and you may start to recognize your own stories within those stories that I'm going to tell you. But here's what I wanted you to take away. You're not broken. Like, if you're struggling to change your behavior, if you're struggling to do with what you know to do, if you're struggling to lose the weight, it's not because your body is broken in some way. Your body is brilliant. It is protecting you. It's protecting you the only way it knows how. With every craving, with every self-sabotage, with every diet that you start again, your body is whispering, please help me feel safe. Right? Your body doesn't care about your goals. It cares about keeping you alive. And that is based on how your nervous system feels. If your nervous system feels triggered by changing your diet, if your nervous system feels triggered about releasing weight, guess what? That little alien within is not going to let you change your behavior or lose weight. It's going to keep you stuck. It's going to help keep you in this body, in these behaviors that help you stay safe. For me, back in my marriage days, having the weight on my body meant safety and distance from the one who was emotionally causing me to feel unsafe. Even if my childhood wounds were saying, don't leave the situation. You can't, because then you're going to be alone and abandoned, and you're going to die on your own. So I felt trapped in a situation. No diet's going to resolve that. Now, when you can meet your needs with compassion instead of criticism, right, your whole biology changes. Criticism keeps you in that state of stress, keeps your nervous system in a state of danger, right? Awareness, compassion, self-love, that changes your nervous system response, how you feel in your body, and your biology changes. Your body finally starts going, it's okay, we're in a safe environment. We can let go of this body fat. So remember, your body is a reflection of your story. Your biography creates your biology. Write that one down, team. Your biology creates your biology. Biography creates your biology. Your story, your life, your experiences in life that have left you either feeling safe or unsafe create your biology, the health of your body, the weight that you're carrying, but it's all a reflection of this pattern. And you have the power to rewrite both. So if you're ready to start that process, comment Rewire or send me a message directly and I'll give you the details for that. That's Rewire to Release Plant-Based Weight Loss Challenge. I'll give you the details about, we'll have a quick chat and just see where you're at right now, what you're struggling with right now. And I'll walk you through the pattern of the 5 days, what we're going to be covering in each day's topic. And we can just make a decision on the spot if it's going to be right for you, perfect for where you're at right now. I don't want to waste your time if it's not going to be right for you. It may not be right. It's not going to be right for everyone. I'm going to say that right now. But it's going to be perfect for the people that I know I can help. So if that's you, drop me a note and let's get you in. And thank you for being here today. You're not broken. You are just ready to rewire. I love it, team. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you to all my wonderful clients who have popped in. Thanks, Priscilla, for being here if you're still here. Thanks, everybody else too. Karen, I'm just trying to see who else has been popping in and commenting. Riva, hello, thank you. All right, team, I'm going to pop off now. Thank you so much for being with me. Love you long time. And don't forget the challenge starts next week, this time next week. So if you do want to be in, you've got a week to reach out to me and have a chat. Okay, ciao for now. Bye.